I got a girl pregnant when I was 16. I was dumb and didn't use protection. Almost all of my regrets washed away when my son Rory was born. I am 24 now and my son is 7. He is the smartest and most loving kid I could ever ask for. His mom had left when he was around 2. When I tried to sue for child support, the judge sided with her, quoting that I was the father and needed to step up. Ever since then it has been me and Rory against the world. I was a single dad to Rory from then on. I had a few girlfriends but nothing serious. I left my parents' place and got a small apartment. I dropped out of high school, which I still immensely regret, but hey, life happens. During this time my neighbors, God bless them, helped me raise my son. They were an older couple next door whose kids had moved out long before, so they were fine babysitting him after school and late night shifts. I am a manager at McDonald's. I make lousy money, but it was enough to get by. Then 2 years prior our crappy building manager raised the rent for everyone, and I had to work even harder for a place to live during a pandemic. My parents had left the state, and I wasn't ready to uplift my kid's entire life because his dad couldn't provide for him. Every birthday since before he was 3, I believe, I took Rory to Golden Coral, usually on his birthday, but there were more occasions we went. It was really good for him and he really enjoyed it. I haven't been able to take him for the past 2 years due to money being very tight. Sometimes I will get tipped at McDonald's. A quarter here, a dime here, $1 here and there. I'll bring it home every day and give it to Rory to save. Well, 2 days ago, Rory brings me his money jug and dumps it all out in front of me. He was so excited and began counting it out. Wife sued for child support, so my salary was garnished under the assumption that I was not responsible enough to make payments on my own. After the automatic deduction, I barely had enough to survive. I did not have enough for my insulin co-pays, food, rent, travel money, etc., nor the required fee for my domestic violence course. So I made whatever choices I had to try to keep going. Sometimes I went without my medication. At one point I was so broke I couldn't afford to attend the domestic violence course, so I missed one and got kicked out. At my next court appearance, the judge threatened me with jail time if I did not resume. So I stopped taking my medication and started eating one small meal per day to try to keep my blood sugars in a safe range. I sued for visitation rights with my kids and won a couple of hours every other Saturday. Between the time the initial incident took place and the first time after that I saw my baby, he had taken his first steps, had his first birthday and was speaking his first words. I had missed all of it. Most weeks when I arrived to pick up my kids, my wife would be out, or she would pretend not to be home, so I didn't get to actually spend much time with my kids, despite the court order. I went to the police station to complain, but they told me to bring it up at our next court date and let it go at that. Once, when I arrived to get the boys, she stood in the doorway screaming profanities at me in front of the neighbors and my children, refusing to let me take them out as planned. She kicked me hard, so I called the police. Several cars arrived, and despite the fact that there were witnesses, I was told to walk it off and try again the following week. Well, that didn't really work for me the year before, but I did as I was told and left the scene. I am not a poor me kind of guy. I fought this whole charade as hard as I could. I talked to lawyers, joined a men's advocacy support group, and told everyone I could about the injustices that were taking place. One lawyer literally said, "I wish you could afford to hire me. I'd love to win this case in court." Eventually, I had my day in court. My lawyer said, "Plead guilty and take the punishment. You cannot win this. And if you plead not guilty and lose, the consequences will be far, far worse." I wrestled hard with the choice, but I eventually took his advice. I pleaded guilty to menacing in the 3rd degree and was mandated to take the domestic violence class for 1 more year. And nothing really changed except that I had to make a couple more court appearances to follow up with my attendance at the class. From then on my life was ruined. Getting and holding down a job is tough, but I'm optimistic for the future.